Hey, what's up, Castlers? Eladefo7 here to bring you Let's Castle coverage of the Shocktober tournament. And this game here is Tillboy versus BUSTAMOVE82. Tillboy had the white pieces and BUSTAMOVE82 with the black pieces. This game began on September the 30th and finished October 10th. Tillboy with the white starts off with knight f3. That's the ready opening. And then a few moves later, he castles kingside, securing his king there. And a few moves later, BUSTAMOVE82 with black plays pawn to d4. The computer didn't like this. They would have rather him play knight c6 and just offer the trade, as you can see on the screen. So Tillboy pushes his c-pawn. There's a check on the king, and Tillboy plays king to g1. But that's a mistake as well. The engine felt that he should have blocked the queen check with his rook, which would have led to him winning a pawn, like so. And then you get the pushing of the pawn, the e-pawn, and then queen a4 check. You block with the pawn, and then there's your pawn. You pick it up, exchange the queens, and as you can see, Tillboy has a 1-point lead. Pushed his e-pawn, and then you get a check on the king. Block. Tillboy decides to take a pawn here, fair move. And right here, Buster played bishop to e7. And the engine felt he should have been more aggressive and attack with pawn to b5. Pawn to b5 would have been better. Bring that back. Pawn to b5. And that would allow you to back that queen up so he can take the pawn on d4 with check. And even the game up in material. But let's get back to the action. Tillboy threatens the queen with pawn to e4. Tillboy chooses not to trade queens here with the move of queen to d1, but maybe he should have, because then you would get a chance. Let me show you here. You would get a chance to double up your pawns. You want to take, and then you get to double up your pawns. All right, and double pawns are a liability because they can be targeted later in the middle and end games. So after queen to d1, let's go back. Get that queen to d1 up there. Buster castles kingside. Tillboy develops his queenside knight. You get queen to b6, queen to a4. Buster develops his queenside knight, knight to e2. You get a trade of knights, and then knight to d7. And then you get rook to b1, which allows a free pawn for Buster because Tillboy can't take back. Why? Because that pawn is pinned to the king. That'd be an illegal move. All right, so Tillboy then brings his queen back to defend the d3 pawn. You get knight to g4, king g2, pawn to h6, pawn to h3. Tillboy kicking the knight to f6. Tillboy tries to kick the knight away again with e5, but Buster moves his knight to d7, which is a missed opportunity for him. Knight to d4 would have been better. Yeah, I think that's the better move. Remember, when deciding where to put your knight on a nice outpost where it can have the opportunity to do the most damage. And that would be in the center of the board. Why? Because this knight hits that square, it hits that square, it hits that square, it hits that square. It's attacking and defending 8 different squares. So definitely have your knight in the middle of the board and try to find outposts. Okay, let's get back to the action. All right, so, and again, I'm not nitpicking here. Buster will definitely take note of this, I'm sure. So Tillboy continues with bishop to e3. And Buster pushes his pawn, pushes a pawn, and Tillboy accepts the pawn. But then Buster checks the king and gets that pawn back with knight takes e4. Or excuse me, knight takes e5. That's a good combination right there. Tillboy then plays knight to d4, which is a mistake because it allows queen takes c5. But he didn't play queen takes c5. He played queen d5. Tillboy then plays knight to b5, I guess looking for a possible fork on the queen and rook. But Buster takes a pawn and exchanges queens in the process. So Buster is now up a pawn, and the eval bar is definitely leaning toward his favor. Tillboy plays knight to d6 to block the attack on the c5 pawn. And b4 probably would have been better. Yeah, would have been better to protect that pawn. Knight d6 was played. Let's go back to the action. And Buster simply exchanged. And Buster exchanges because he knows he can easily pick up that isolated pawn. And he does. You eventually get down to an endgame where Buster is up 2 pawns. He also has a knight as opposed to Tillboy's bishop. And the question here is, can Buster complete the upset as he came in as the lower seed in this tournament? So now they both attempt to bring their kings to the center of the board, but the turning point of this game came when Tillboy played bishop to e3 check. Right here. Bishop to e3 check instead of the winning move. The winning move was bishop takes b4 check, which leads to you going up a piece and you're basically winning. So bishop e3 check, and Buster plays pawn to d4, blocking the check. Tillboy takes the pawn with the bishop, and Buster takes the bishop. Tillboy takes the knight, and this is totally winning for BUSTAMOVE82. But can he convert? He's got a pawn majority on the right side of the board. Let's see what he does here. Buster surges the f pawn ahead. Tillboy takes the pawn. Now Buster he shoves the g pawn ahead 2 squares. Tillboy gets his passed pawn moving, and it's basically going to be a race to see who can promote their pawn first. Takes, and now Buster has a passed f pawn. There's nothing impeding his way to promotion. And right now, BUSTAMOVE82 is definitely doing the Birdman hand rub, as he can definitely taste victory. And now all that's left, yep, check the king. And he's going to make a mating net right here. And there's your checkmate. After 63 moves, BUSTAMOVE completes the upset. And let's check out the leaderboard here. Now, that was game 2. In the first game, Tillboy won his game against BUSTAMOVE. BUSTAMOVE comes back and wins this game. So now that's a split. So that means both of them will be advancing to the second round. In Group 2, you have YDTD. He took out Mo Kill, so he's advancing to the second round. In Group 1, Chevalier Chess took out Antonio Vivaldi Jr. from Queens. He'll be advancing to the second round as well. We're only waiting for Princess Gold 1 and Tibbs, who are duking it out in their game. And G-Strong and Infinite KBO7. They're still competing. So we're waiting for the winners of those games to see who will be facing who in the second round. And that's going to do it for this video. Once again, I'm LFO7 saying stay tuned. I'll see you soon.